as an I am statement. Quite frankly, when you learn a two-step meditation technique from one of these deities, you get a mantra that's an I am statement. Am I correct? Those of you who are meditating, yes, it's an I am statement. Bhavanam Kevalam can also be thought of as an I am statement, but people usually are approaching meditation from something about love, something about light, something about your essence. For adults, I think it resonates more to think about meditation as a way of getting back to who you really are, without all of the baggage that we have created over our lifetime. So the exercise involves people just to avoid, and see, there's two ways to do it. The fast way would be to create two fictional characters. The hard way would be to actually do one for yourself, where you think of as many labels as you can for yourself. So with a fictional character, you would say, I am, and let's make this person what? Let's try a few labels. Just call one out.
Kind.
Mother.
I am kind. I am
A mother?
a mother.
Is it?
Teacher. I'm a teacher.
Two teachers. We have a kind teaching mother.
Compassion.
Pardon?
Compassion.
Compassion.
Compassionate. We need to know more about this person.
Young.
Give me a number.
26.
26. Now we're getting better. Let's like really get to know this person.
Dyslexic.
Dyslexic, 26 years old.
Teacher.
Australian.
Australian, thank you. That's the kind of labeling I'm looking
Married.
for. What? Married.
Piano player.
Pardon?
Plays piano.
Plays piano. Wonderful. Now, you can build quite a repertoire, and frankly, you're not really being honest if you're not aware of the repertoire you already have. I'm name stepping. We carry around, when you ask someone, especially someone who doesn't meditate, I'm sorry to say, right away, the first thing they say is their age. I am, and there's a number. And people have other numbers in their head. They have their weight, they have their height, they have their hair color, they have their body type, they have their health, they have their roles.
Occupation
Mother,
comes
teacher.
up quite a bit too.
Yeah,
I find.
mother, teacher, they certainly have their sex identity. They have things that they like to do, which we mentioned. This person plays piano.
Yeah.
This person, maybe they like tennis, maybe they like gardening. So you get quite a proliferation of labels. Now, what happens when you sit down to meditate is you have this identity that is the sum, that is all of these things. You also have a name. That's one of the things that somebody did. I am, who are you?
Julie.
I am Marcus. Sometimes I'm Manaranja.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm Doctor.
Mm.
We have names too. So what we do is we create this incredible list of all of these things that either we are, if we have time, or if we don't have time, this fictional person is. Then we start to categorize them. Let's look at all the things that fall into the physical realm. What are some of the labels that fall into the physical realm?
The height, age.
The height, the age,
The weight.
the weight,
Race.
Where you're from?
where you're from. Now that's an interesting one. Where you're from is a crossover. It's physical, but it gets into the psyche too. I'm an Australian is not only I'm from Australia because I might not be living there anymore. It's a psychic thing too. It's not just I might have been born in Australia, but how long did I spend there might determine the kind of values I have, the kind of politics I have. right? We also didn't mention the racial identity of this person. There's so many things. So you just you list all the physical things. Then you categorize the mental things, such as the person is a musician, okay, a teacher, compassionate, kind, all of these other more psychic qualities, not physical qualities. And then we start to look at how many of these things were you 5 years ago? Okay, we also put in things like, I'm a Republican. Let's contrast and have the other imaginary person be a Democrat. In America, Republicans and Democrats are at war with each other right now. So if a person sees that your label is Republican, my label is Democrat, I don't even want to talk to you.
What was the question? What are the labels that are create division?
Yeah, what are the labels? No, the one question you can ask is, what labels can we remove if we go back in time? What labels change as we go back in time? Maybe my weight changes as I go back in time.
But if you
Maybe
say,
my age should change as I go back in time. Maybe my hair color changes as I go back in time. Maybe my interest scope changes as I go back in time. Maybe there are things that I used to have on my list that aren't there anymore. And this starts to show people, well, am I really these things? Because I wasn't those things 5 years ago or 10 years ago. I had other things on my list and things that aren't there anymore, but I'm still me. So the question then becomes, what part of the I am statement doesn't change?
I.
In other words, when you sit down with yourself, you know you're you. And you've known you've been you for a long time. You can remember being you when you were a child. You can remember being you as a teen, as an adult. But all your labels, a lot of your labels have changed. But something else hasn't changed, or else you wouldn't know who you are. Do you follow me? Okay. So what this exercise of going back in time and removing some things from the list, I like to have them categorized into the physical, into the mental, and the crossover ones. The crossover ones are very important because it's important for people to understand that a lot of how we perceive ourselves physically gets into the psyche. A white man in America perceives himself differently than a black woman, psychically. A white man feels that a certain amount of safety in certain places, and a black woman feels a certain amount of danger in certain places. Anyway, after we've categorized them, we go back in time and we look at what changed. Yes?
Are some of these qualities spiritual? Like if you say, I am loving, is that a mental
I don't
quality?
consider that spiritual, no. Let's just leave that into the emotional psychic realm, emotional mental realm. You can put emotional, you can even separate if you want to, mental
So
and
none of them
emotional.
are actually seen as spiritual items. I don't know.
But for the sake of this exercise, I
Yeah.
really don't want to put anything in the spiritual realm,
Okay.
okay? Because in the purest sense of philosophy, spirit doesn't have mind.
Doesn't have qualities.
Spirit is beyond the
No.
mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the
No.
point of this? As an exercise, as we do this, what do we find? We go back in time, let's say 10 years. We have to change some of our labels. Some of them we have to throw away, and then there were old ones that were there that we have to add back in. It's important to at least go back 5, depending on the age group, 5 or 10. You can, with children who are 13, you can go back 5 years. Okay? With us, we might go back 10 years. Let's go back 10 years when I first visited River School. Okay. Now, that starts to get it's very logical. It doesn't require any religious belief. Everyone can see the I am statement that we live with is always changing. But there must be something consistent or else we wouldn't remember ourselves. You know, I remember being here 8 years ago. Don't remember everything about it, but I remember a lot. I remember being here, I remember my reaction to this place. Don't remember much of what I said. I remember a lot of the teachers who I see here now. But I remember myself, I don't forget myself because I may have changed. Go back to my childhood, I don't forget. You go back a little beyond childhood though, you start to forget. Now, what part of the I am statement doesn't change? No matter how far back in time you go.
I.
Hmm?
I.
Well, let me make that question easier.
I.
Let's go back to a time where you only knew 3 things about yourself. Only had 3 things in your I am statement. What do you think those 3 things would be?
Name, birth, like name and age. Are we talking since birth?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm hungry.
A name,
A name,
our age,
our age,
you would know that, and a gender.
our gender. Okay. It doesn't have to be an absolute list.
Yeah, okay.
Beyond that, people have trouble remembering. But before you knew your name, you still knew you were you, didn't you? You still, when you opened your eyes, there's something in you, I exist. There's an I feeling. That I feeling that has no labels attached to it is what we're looking for in meditation. And now this is where I would bring out as big a tub of water as I could find. And I would tell the participants, this water, we have to imagine it as being infinite. This is an infinite tub of water. It's endless. Okay, then I take a glass and I dip the glass in the water. What's the difference between the water in the glass and the water in the tub? I can even keep the glass partly in the tub. What is the difference between the water in the glass? Because now you can differentiate. There's water in the glass and there's water in the tub. And the glass is even still partly immersed in the tub. What's the difference between them?
There's no difference in the water, but there's a difference, it's got a cup.
It's got the glass.
Yes.
And what does the glass represent in our life?
The
A border. It's a border. And that border is your I feeling. Without that border, you don't know who you are. You can be anyone. People who have lost that border see themselves as everyone. They don't know who they are. There was a woman who I saw at the United Nations. She wrote a book called My Stroke of Genius. I'm sorry her name is escaping me. Somebody will know
It's a
about it.
famous TED
Jill
Talk too.
something. It's Jill something. She had a stroke. In the stroke, she lost the functioning of the left side of her brain. And the right side became active. Suddenly, she could play piano. She could speak a foreign language. But one of the things she said is, I didn't know where my body stopped and another person's body began. I couldn't feel the difference between myself and any other person. And I ran around hugging everybody because I loved them so much. And she said, the trick is, I had to retrain my left brain. But while I'm up here talking, I still have the impulse to go out in the audience and hug every one of you. I haven't closed off my right brain. Anyway, you have this border. That's your I feeling. And that's the only quality it has. Now what I would like to do with these teachers now, if you were all my teachers, I would say, let's call this ocean Baba. Okay? This is Baba. Call it whatever you want. That existential I feeling has only one quality. It has a border. And what's the difference between that and Baba? Baba is just an infinite existential feeling. It's infinite existential I. There's a Christian song about this called The Great I Am. I'm throwing these things out here in case you ever want to look into them. great I am versus the small I am statement. So when you meditate now with Bhavanan Kevalam, you're meditating on, you have a clearer picture. Baba, only the name of that infinite I. And when you meditate, instead of trying to follow a specific process, like I taught you, there's a process of forgetting about the world around you. You simply focus on your I feeling. This is really challenging, even for those of you who have a meditation technique. Focus on your I feeling. And the first thing that happens, I see a picture of myself coming up, I hear my name being said, and I'm, okay, you gotta strip all those things away. That isn't who I really am, because those things are always changing. In fact, you mentioned 3 things. Well, first of all, it's very easy to change your name. And nowadays, it isn't too hard to change your sex gender. And your age is always changing anyway. So all of those things are very impermanent. They aren't who you really are either. And even if all of those change, as in some people they've changed their name and their sex gender and their age, they still have that same I feeling. They know who they are. There's a deeper identity. So what you do in this meditation is you focus on your I feeling, and you will find all of these labels lifting away, erasing away. And when you feel just, I would describe it as, when I get to this point, I find I have a feeling that I exist somewhere. I have no location. That's how it feels to me. It feels as if I exist with no location. Not on planet Earth, not in a particular body. It's a very deep sense of existence. I don't know where it is, but I know it's separate from the other big water. When I get to that point where I feel I am existing and it has no labels, or I've removed a lot of the labels, then you start to chant Bhavanam Kevalam. Only that's when your little I, let me start to try to remove this glass and go into the big I. Now this is something that people who have religious impediments to meditation find very appealing, or people who have had bad experiences with margis, or people who have had negative images of gurus, or people who feel that the presentation for meditation requires too many belief statements. This is something that I use for people, children, older children and adults, that finds universal acceptance, but is also very, very powerful, because it teaches you to think of meditation as a different way. And it's very liberating to know, somebody said to me yesterday, thank you for helping make the school better. And I'm not really good with words when I'm emotional, but my feeling was, I love you because I am you. That's how I feel about the staff of the River School. I am you, and I love you the way I love myself. And I can't help coming here and trying to share what I know. I can't help it. There's nothing to thank me for. You want to thank someone, thank him. Or thank the people who organized this. So this type of meditation, what does it do for the school atmosphere? It helps the children to see that in the deepest part, we're all exactly the same. And the Republican and the Democrat have lost their labels, and they can now talk to each other and be friends. Okay, because when you put all those labels up there, you put imaginary person 1 up against imaginary person 2, you find 1,000,000 points of potential conflict. Okay? You start to take away, potential areas of conflict. I'm an Arab, I'm an Israeli. Okay, let's get rid of that. You find that we're more and more alike. And we know this is true. one of the things, sometimes little things happen in life that show you this. One little thing that happened to me, I saw a documentary and I walked in part way about a family in Lebanon. And I walked in part way and I could not contain myself that how noble these people were. Their values were so beautiful. The way they raised their children, the children's behavior, their sense of aesthetic culture, everything was so sweet. And at the end, when they interviewed the children, they wanted to go and kill Israelis. Okay? And that's because I missed the beginning part of it, which was how they were being educated. So they have all these labels on themselves, but their essence is perfect. It's beautiful. And the same thing can be, you know this is true. You know this is true. The same thing is true. It doesn't matter whether you're a refugee or, you know, the head of a country. All human life is, all people have the same potentiality. All people have that I feeling, start from that point. And one of the things that our guru said about neo-humanism, you can recognize a neo-humanist because they honor the most dishonored people in the world. They show honor to the people who are thrown away, who are neglected, who are abused. They don't see that. So this is a way of approaching meditation in a crash course.
Thank you.